Hello, I'm here to introduce the Basset Clarinet and how it sounds. I think the best way to approach the Basset Clarinet is just to think about how the instrument came about. This is a Basset Clarinet in A. If I'd show you a normal clarinet in A, you can just see the difference in length. It means that the Basset Clarinet has a wider range. The normal clarinet stops there. The Basset Clarinet keeps going down, right down to the bottom C of the instrument. Now, Anton Stadler, Mozart's clarinettist, was working with Viennese instrument makers to develop this instrument towards the end of Mozart's life. And he had this instrument with its extra notes ready just in time for the Mozart Concerto. The Mozart Concerto was really only known for the first 150 years or so of its existence in an arrangement for a normal clarinet in A. But the wonderful thing about the Basset Clarinet, with its extra low notes, is that Mozart was able to put his operatic personality to full use to write contrasting parts for the high register of the clarinet and the very low register. Mozart often sets up duets operatically in this piece, and the Basset Clarinet makes this really exciting and dramatic, I think. There's a passage in the finale of the Mozart Concerto which I think is almost like a domestic scene between a soprano and baritone. One ironic thing about Anton Stadler, he was a great virtuoso clarinettist, apparently, and a great friend of Mozart, but also a character who, shall we say, lived life to the full. He was on tour after Mozart's death with the manuscript of the Mozart Concerto in his possession. We know that Mozart's publisher, Jean-André, asked Mozart's widow, Constanza, where he could get hold of the original manuscript of the concerto. She said, apply to Anton Stadler. And it was reported to Constanza that he had lost the manuscript. Stadler himself said that it had been stolen, but it was on record that some of his friends said that he had pawned it for a certain amount of money. So rather ironically, we probably have Anton Stadler to thank for this wonderful masterpiece, but also for losing the thing. Because the manuscript is lost, we're guessing as to what he actually wrote. Playing the Mozart on the Basset Clarinet has enormous rewards, dramatically and musically, but it does make it rather harder to play. I've got to support the sound for the whole of that long wooden tubing. Mozart himself, as a composer, was uncompromising about this. Apparently Stadler said to him some of the passage work that he had written was extremely difficult and technically demanding. Mozart simply said, "Are the notes I've written available on your instrument?" Stadler said yes. Mozart said, "Then it is your job to produce them." The Mozart Concerto is in A major, key of 3 sharps, and the number 3 was very significant in this clarinet concerto. And it's interesting that towards the end of the first movement, there's a passage only possible on this Basset Clarinet, where the same music comes in the first octave, second octave, and third octave, identically, in the home key of 3 sharps and with intervals of a third. And the third repetition of this identical series of 3s is at bar number 333. And I think that from a composer who is not only obsessed with numbers and Freemasonry, but also used to playing jokes between himself and his friends, I think that's no coincidence.